Many people throughout the offseason have criticized Brad Holmes for his failure to address the wide receiver need. And throughout the NFL draft, many people expected Brad Holmes to address said need. With guys at the top end like Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Rome Odunze, and players in the late first round like Xavier Worthy, Adonai Mitchell, and Ladd McConkey, there were a lot of people that believed with such a talented wide receiving class and a team like the Lions who have a need at wide receiver that it was going to be a natural pairing within the first couple of rounds that the Lions would find their wide receiver of the future. However, the NFL draft came and went, and Brad Holmes decided to lean on the defense. He decided to lean on the trenches, and really the only skill position player that he drafted was Utah's Sione Vaki in the fourth round of the NFL draft. Now, after the NFL draft, there was some complaints that, the wide receiving position did not get addressed. With so many talented wide receivers, how come there was no wide receivers drafted? And Brad Holmes decided to follow up his NFL draft by selecting and signing not one, but two high-priority undrafted rookie free agent wide receivers in Jalon Calhoun, the wide receiver from Duke, as well as Isaiah Williams, the undrafted rookie wide receiver from Illinois. Both players were projected to be drafted within the NFL draft in 2024, with Isaiah Williams' draft stock being as high as a top 150 player on Pro Football Focus's big board. But for one reason or another, both players fell through the draft, and they both ended up in Detroit as undrafted rookie free agents. Now, both of these players play a very similar role in college and will likely play a similar role in the NFL. That being a small slot receiver, and they both have very similar skill sets as well as very similar statistics throughout their collegiate career. Obviously, one playing in the ACC and one playing in the Big Ten. The competition was different. One of them played 2 more seasons. However, they both came away with pretty similar statistics, pretty similar skill sets, both playing very similar roles and being the prototypical slot receiver for the NFL. Now, starting off with Isaiah Williams. Isaiah Williams measures in at 5'9", 182 pounds. He put up 17 reps on the bench for a player that weighs just 180 pounds. That is relatively impressive, and he graded out with an RAS score with great explosion, great agility, but poor speed, running just a 4.63 40-yard dash. Now, those numbers might not be phenomenal, and I believe his RAS score graded out just above the 7.0 margin, but when you compare him to another player that's already on the Detroit Lions, his RAS score in his athletic testing really seems to not be as large of a concern. In fact, Isaiah Williams' RAS score actually seems to be really close to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who also measured in at just a little bit under 6 foot. Between the two of them, there was a 2-inch difference, both graded out with great explosiveness, great agility, and poor speed, with Amon-Ra St. Brown running a 4.61, being just 0.02 seconds slower on the 40 than Isaiah Williams. So comparatively, Isaiah Williams is very much built and has these similar skill sets to Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Detroit Lions all-pro slot wide receiver. And I think that they have a lot of similarities in their game outside of just their RAS score. I think that they play very similar roles of what Amon-Ra does in the NFL. I think that's exactly what Isaiah Williams did in college. I think Isaiah Williams has these strong hands. He's got the good route running. He has that yak ability. And really, he has a very similar skill set to what Amon-Ra St. Brown gives the Detroit Lions as of right now. Now, Jalon Calhoun also measures in at 5'9" and just over 180 pounds. His RAS score was significantly worse, though, with just okay explosiveness, poor agility, and okay speed. He ran a slower 40 than both Amon-Ra St. Brown and Isaiah Williams, with his explosiveness and agility both being very much subpar to the wide receiver position. However, even with that being the case, I do think that Jalon Calhoun has a really strong opportunity to make this roster, and we'll talk about his statistics in his Duke career in a minute. But first, let's bounce back to Isaiah Williams, who in his 3 years at Illinois had 214 receptions for 2,304 receiving yards, 13 touchdowns, as well as 103 rushing attempts for 509 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. Now, a bulk of those carries came in his sophomore season when he was kind of playing a quarterback slash running back role for the Fighting Illini before making the full transition to the wide receiver position. So really throughout his 5 years at Illinois, Isaiah Williams played quarterback, he played running back, and he played wide receiver, a versatile piece that could potentially take carries for the Detroit Lions in a pinch, but is likely going to play, again, more of that slot role. But it is interesting to know that he had over 100 collegiate carries, averaging over 5 yards a carry in the Big Ten. Now, Jalon Calhoun played a lot longer at Duke than Isaiah Williams played at Illinois. Jalon Calhoun had 5 receiving seasons at Duke, where he had 253 receptions for 3,026 yards, 17 touchdowns, while averaging 12 yards per reception. Now, comparing and contrasting these players, you might say, okay, well, they both put up pretty similar production on a year-to-year basis. Both of them had, upwards of 3,000 career scrimmage yards, upwards of 200 to 250 receptions, right? Similar touchdown numbers, all things considered, and they are both relatively explosive for slot wide receivers with not great RAS scores. So how do we kind of determine which player is going to make the roster as they both fight for that wide receiver 6 position? Well, Jalon Calhoun has more career production, while Isaiah Williams is a better athlete. Jalon Calhoun is a little bit more explosive per reception and has a little bit more better efficiency numbers, but Isaiah Williams has the best single season of the duo, with having over 1,000 yards just a season ago in 2023. Jalon Calhoun has the better experience and has a lot more experience at the wide receiving position, but Isaiah Williams has a lot more upside for the wide receiving position. Obviously, being the better athlete, having the better single season, he has a lot more upside and a lot more excitement around the position, which is a big reason why he was signed to the Detroit Lions. And again, you can take a look at these players. They're both undersized. They're both quicker than fast. They both have solid hands. They both have yak ability. They were both security blankets for their offense. They were both guys that on third down, that's who you look to. They were the number 1 wide receiver for their team. They both played in the Power 5 for subpar football teams. Their similarities are very deep and very, very similar. And if you take a look at the two players, there really isn't a whole lot separating them other than the athletic scores and the one major difference that is Isaiah Williams' signing bonus. Isaiah Williams was signed to the Detroit Lions for a $240,000 signing bonus. That is one of the largest signing bonuses Brad Holmes has ever given to an undrafted rookie free agent. And you don't give that out if you don't believe that a player can make your roster. So with so many similarities between their game, with so many things alike between the two wide receivers, this is likely the one thing that will put Isaiah Williams above Jalon Calhoun. The financial investment, the capital that has been put into Isaiah Williams is higher than the capital that was put into Jalon Calhoun. So if they have similar preseasons, if they both have a good preseason, or even if Jalon Calhoun very, very slightly outperforms Isaiah Williams, there is a financial gain and a financial reason to keep Isaiah Williams around. And I do think that Isaiah Williams will win this wide receiving room. Now, if you take a look at the Detroit Lions wide receivers right now, obviously you have Amon-Ra St. Brown as a slot / outside guy. A lot of people say that Amon-Ra St. Brown is a slant merchant, that he is a slot merchant. But realistically, Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of the best technicians in the NFL, runs a lot of routes on the boundaries, and is one of the best wide receivers in all of football. Jameson Williams is primarily an outside guy. You can put him in the slot to utilize that speed, but the Lions drafted him to be a Z wide receiver. They drafted him to play on the boundary, to take the top off of defenses, and to be a boundary guy. Donovan Peoples-Jones as well, a 6'2" wide receiver built like a prototypical X. He's not going to be playing in the slot very often. Khalif Raymond is built more like a slot wide receiver. You can use that speed on the inside much more like a slot receiver at just 5'10", but also takes quite a few snaps on the boundaries and has been really productive as a boundary wide receiver for the Detroit Lions. And then you have 7th round selection Antoine Green from a season ago, who again measures at 6'2", is built more like an X wide receiver, really isn't going to play very much in the slot. So while the Detroit Lions have 5 capable outside wide receivers, they really only have 2 guys that are capable of playing in the slot, who both of whom are really good on the outside as well. So I think that having a slot specialist. I think that having a player that if Amon-Ra goes down, if Khalif Raymond goes down, and you want to put St. Brown on the outside still, you want to have that other player that can play in the slot. And that's what Williams and Calhoun can do for you, right? That is their specialty. That is their speciality. And if there is an injury to arise, if St. Brown goes down, obviously you have Khalif Raymond for the slot, but then it limits your ability to put Raymond on the outside. If Raymond goes down with an injury like he did at the end of last season, obviously St. Brown can still play well within the slot, but then what do you do if you want to put him on the boundary? Do you put Donovan Peoples-Jones in the slot and limit his potential? Do you put Jameson Williams in the slot and limit his potential? Do you put Antoine Green in the slot and really not play to his strengths? No, you're not going to do any of that, which is why I think that Williams and Calhoun have this chance to make the roster, because unlike JMO and DPJ and Green, they are specialists for the slot, and they can slide in if need be and if injuries arise. And again, I think just because of the signing bonus and because I think the single season upside is better from what we saw last season, I do think Isaiah Williams could potentially make this roster of the duo, with Jalon Calhoun taking a backseat on the practice squad. But with all of that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. Let me know down in the comments below how you feel about this young rookie duo. How do you think that they will play out? How do you think that they will be in the preseason? Who are you most excited to watch, and who do you have higher expectations for? I'd be very curious what you guys have to say about this rookie duo in the comments down below. But with all of that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. If you have made it this far into the video and have yet to subscribe, please go down below and do so. We just hit 4,000 subscribers and hit our goal, and let's not stop the train there. Let's keep going. Let's push for 4,100 by time training camp comes around in 3 weeks. That is the next goal. And if you have yet to subscribe, please make sure to do so. Put out daily Detroit Lions content. And if you are this far into a video about the Detroit Lions undrafted rookie wide receivers, you're obviously a pretty big Lions and football fan. So subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification for daily Lion videos, and I will see you all tomorrow with another Lions video. But with all of that being said, thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, and as always, go Lions.